y'all, so I'm back with another video. This is actually going to be a tutorial to show you how I use my non-dominant hand to apply acrylic to my dominant hand. Okay, I use a few different techniques. I hold the brush slightly differently as well. Of course, we'll be using Mia's Secret acrylic powder. We're using Mia's Secret monomer, and I've already put nail prep on, which is dehydrate, before I apply the nail tips. So now I'm gonna go ahead and apply our Mia's Secret primer so that we can make sure that we get that legit grip and we have a zero lifting. If you don't know about my video that I posted on how to make sure you have zero lifting, make sure you check it out. I will tag it in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. This entire video is going to be a talk through. This used to be highly requested when I used to do videos a few years ago, so hopefully it still comes in handy for somebody. I'm going to show y'all from scratch how I do my nails, and if you want to see the design that I do on these nails, make sure that you check out the video that I also will link to show you the nail design that I actually do on this set. And if you want to see how to do a full set from scratch, which is what I recorded this set in, make sure you check out this link that I will link above as well, and you'll have everything that you need to do your own nails. And it's an excellent tutorial for beginner, as is this one. So let's go ahead and get started without further ado. I'm going to make sure that my brush is nice and ready. I just like to dip and slide. And I've been using this brush for the other side, so I'm just making sure that it's nice and good, and we're gonna get to it. Right before I'm ready to dip in the powder, I rub it off about twice, and we're gonna press and hold for about 3 to 4 seconds. And that's a pretty decent sized bead. So we're gonna do the thumb with that. As you can see, I'm doing this on camera, so it's a little bit different. But one thing that I wanna say is, if you weren't doing this on camera and you were just doing your nails at home, you could hold your nail in your hand differently so that you can get a better angle. When you're doing your dominant hand with your non-dominant hand, just make sure that you get a comfortable position to where you can do it right. And as you can see, this is how I hold it, the brush, with my non-dominant hand. And I usually do my dominant hand a little bit more flawlessly, but the funny thing is sometimes I actually do end up laying better with my non-dominant hand, which is so weird. So as you can see, this is our first go around, and I'm gonna do another application because I don't like how thin that tip is. I'm gonna apply a little bit more acrylic to the tip. When you're doing your own nails, always remember that you can do as many layers or dip. I don't wanna say as many layers because you don't need multiple layers of acrylic, but you can always continue to apply acrylic until you get your nail the way that you need it to be. And it's better to put a little bit more acrylic thickness than you need so that when you file, you still have a good shape instead of doing it too thin. Okay, so again, I like to rub off the brush so that we can get excess liquid out before we go ahead and blend in the powder. That also keeps our bristles nice and clean. You don't want to get any of that in the bristles. It's okay to have the powder on the outside of the brush, but you don't want them to get between the hairs, not really. But even if you do, it's okay because you can always get some good brush cleaner to get it out. So that's much better, and I know a lot of people would just leave it like that, but I'm actually gonna do one more layer because I just like my thickness. So again, we're just gonna clean off our brush, dip, slide off the edges twice so that it's not too wet. You don't want the brush to be too wet. And I'm gonna press and hold for about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. That's how I count in my head. And I'm just gonna put one more application on this thumb, and we're gonna move on to the rest of the fingers. If you take your time, you won't have any issues. Doing nails is so therapeutic. You know, some people like to crochet, some people like to sew, some people like to paint, some people like to write. This is very therapeutic like that for me. I actually miss so much doing my own nails, so I'm like just really blessed to be back to doing these videos. Like, even if nobody watches the videos, I'm still gonna do them, and I still enjoy doing them just for me. So check that out. Looking really good. I love it, and I like that curvature we got there. On to the next nail. Again, we're just gonna clean. Make sure that we don't have any powder in the bristles. You always want to keep your brush clean the entire time you do your acrylic as much as possible. And we're gonna put it in here for another 3 seconds. There we go. And I'm gonna apply this to the middle nail. I don't know why I always end up doing it in that order. You don't have to, of course. But that's just kind of how it always ends up working out for me. And we're gonna press it into shape. So as you can see, this is how I hold. I think I do. I'm gonna put an insert of how it looks when I do it with my dominant hand, how I hold the brush, and how I hold it with my non-dominant hand, which you can see is kind of different. This gives me, with the 3 fingers on the actual brush, it gives me a lot more balance. It gives me a lot more control. That's the word that I was looking for. Again, that's okay, but I want to do another layer so that we can get some thickness on this tip. I'll probably just do one more layer on this nail. So yeah, I just wanted to show y'all really quickly. When I use my dominant hand, I hold it like a pencil, like this. But when I do it with my non-dominant hand, I kind of hold it like this. It just gives me a little bit more control, either with these 2 fingers or sometimes the 3. And I just get more leverage that way. So anytime that you're applying with your non-dominant hand, you can still do it. It just might be that you can't do things exactly the way that you do them with your other hand. So just find what is comfortable for you and you'll be golden. I'm gonna apply this to this tip area because the tip was a little thin. The tip was looking a little bald-headed. So let's go ahead and get that right. I'm drawing out the brush so that when I start blending in the acrylic, it's not too liquidy. Sometimes you can have too much liquid in the brush and it'll make it run more than it needs to, which you can still do your nails even if it does it like that. It's just kind of annoying when you got acrylic just dripping all over the place. But again, even if you're a beginner and you have never done your own nails before, check out my very first time doing acrylic nails. I actually used the Kiss acrylic kit, and I recommend that to anybody who's interested in doing nails but you're kind of nervous and you just want to practice. Use that Kiss acrylic kit because it's $7 and it pretty much has everything that you need, and you can practice with that, especially if you're nervous for your first set. And trust me, in no time you're gonna be ready for the real acrylic, because the Kiss acrylic powder lasts as long as press-on nails last. And then I just noticed this on the side. You see that there's like an indentation? I'm gonna just add a little bit more right there. And this happens like when I do my non-dominant hand. That's why I wanna show y'all everything. When I do my non-dominant hand, it's not always a perfect lay, so I always have to end up going back in there a few times, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna go in until we get it right. So that's pretty typical for me working with my non-dominant hand. So don't feel bad if you have to do that. You know, I'm just a normal person. I don't do, you know, many nails a day. Some people work at a nail salon and they're doing nails day in and day out. I don't. I just do them when I do my own nails. So if you're looking for something that's realistic on how it will be for you when you do your own nails, this is a good place to be, because like I said, I'm not a nail tech and I don't do nails for a living. But we still make it do what it do. And I can tell you this, I always get so many compliments when I do my own nails. I missed that. When I was getting my nails done and I had stopped doing nail tutorials, I didn't get as many nail compliments. I do a much more cooler designs than they do at the nail place, a side note. So now it's nice and even and we're gonna move on. 2 down and 3 more to go. So again, make sure we prep our brush. Dip it in for about a good 3 seconds. And I always put the brush at I always put it at an angle so that it doesn't dip into the very tip of the brush. And you don't want to put the bead right at the bottom because you don't want to flood your cuticles. So I always like to put the bead a little bit past halfway down, but not all the way at the bottom. Almost like right in the middle, but like right below the middle. So that you can just press it into the cuticle, but so that it doesn't flood the cuticle. I was appalled when I was going to the nail salon and the people who are supposed to be cosmetology certified were just like literally flooding my cuticles. They could not breathe, okay? One more layer. This should definitely be more than enough. That's kind of a lot, but it's okay. Just take your time. And again, just pay attention to how I'm holding it with my non-dominant hand. It's different than my right hand, but I'm gonna be honest, like every time it's time for me to do my dominant hand with my non-dominant hand, I always feel like, oh, here we go. But it's actually really not that complicated. It's not that bad. Like I said, if I wasn't on camera, the funny thing is sometimes I actually do my dominant hand better than I do my non-dominant hand. But doing your non-dominant hand is one thing. Doing it on camera is a whole nother different thing, because I'm not using the angle that I would typically use that's a little bit more comfortable. When I do, I'll show you the angles that I use, because like I said, if you're doing your own nails and you're not trying to do a video tutorial, you have a little bit more leverage. But of course, since I'm doing this tutorial, I have to do it at a certain angle so that you all can see what I'm doing. So there we go. Nice and thick enough for me. And then like I said, any imperfections, I will just go ahead and we can clean it up when we get to filing. Typically, just to show y'all, if I was doing this off camera, I usually have my hands like this and I would apply my cuticle this way. And I would have it like real close to my body. As you can see, I'm off camera when I do that. But that's typically how I would apply it, like this with the nail brush, if I wasn't doing this on camera for all of you. But since I'm doing it on camera, I think this is a better angle for you to see. So we just got 2 more nails. I think we're doing pretty good on time. this is before the file, but you can see this is how my acrylic looks before I touch up. So I think that looks pretty good. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if this was helpful in the comments. I just finished shaping my non-dominant hand and perfecting it for that coffin. So if you want to see that full beginner acrylic coffin nail tutorial, definitely check it out. I talked through step by step. But now, since this is the non-dominant hand tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to just perfect everything before we actually finish. So I'm using the 180 grit side of the nail file, and I'm just taking my time to just carefully shape it, get everything nice and straight on the edges. Also, make sure that you lift off any acrylic that might have got on your fingers on the side. It's always a little bit more drip when I do this dominant hand, but again, like I said, that should be expected, especially if you're not ambidextrous. So I'm gonna repeat this on all the nails and then show you how I drill. This is how it looks after filing with just the nail file. And now I'm gonna do some last touch-ups with the drill. Also, make sure that when you're drilling your nails, you keep the drill at an angle. And again, you can see how I'm holding the drill really with these two fingers mainly, but also with this third to help balance it. But make sure that you drill your nails at an angle, even on the cuticle, so that you don't disfigure your acrylic nail bed and have any dips and have to go back in with acrylic. So just take your time, keep it on a low setting for this point, and keep the drill as flat as possible across the nail drill. Going in with the nail drill, and I'm actually just gonna drill along the edges, keeping it flat up against the edges so that we can make sure we have a nice straight and clean edged coffin shape. And then of course on the tips of your nail, you always want to just really use the nail file, because it's very easy to misshape the tip. The tip is very sensitive with the drill, so you don't need a drill for the tips. You can just go ahead and completely straighten those edges out with just the nail file. So this is how our finished nail look. This is our non-dominant hand tutorial. Remember, if you want to see the full beginner tutorial, be sure to watch the video that I have linked at this video. And also, if you would like to see the nail design that I do, stay subscribed for more nail designs. And also, you will be able to find the links for that nail design as well at the back end of this video. Hope you enjoyed. See you again next time. Peace.